Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Nuclear Revenge. In today's episode, I ruined my boss life. Try getting me fired. Enjoy homelessness. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I ruined my boss life. A few years ago, I worked for a couple of months in a pastry shop. To work there, my boss promised me 8 hours a day except Mondays, half day, and Thursdays, closed, and €700 a month, obviously all off the books. Although I had some resentment about working illegally, I accepted anyway because I needed some money. The first day of work, I was in there for 11 hours. From 5:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and then from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I thought it was normal since it was my first day, even if in reality some doubts came to me right away because all the others had been there as much as me, and for them it was certainly not the first day. The situation continued to be this, hours ranging from 10 to sometimes 13 hours a day. Furthermore, for 2 weeks in a row, on Monday, the day on which we were only supposed to work in the morning, we instead worked with the schedules of the other days. At the end of the month, I asked for my well-deserved salary and my boss got angry telling me that I was only thinking about money when in reality I hadn't even asked him to pay me for the multiple hours of overtime. He then told me that he would pay everyone at the end of the first week of the following month. The following day, after working as usual for 11 hours, at the end of the shift he called me aside telling me that since I had been presumptuous I had to show up for work on Thursday even though it was my day off. Obviously, I got angry and replied that I had worked much longer hours than those agreed and that I would not show up for work on my day off, and so I did. Thursday came and I didn't show up, ignoring hundreds of calls from my boss and his wife. The next day, I showed up for work regularly and was severely reprimanded and then sent home for bad behavior. He told me that we would meet on Sunday to give me the money and then I didn't have to show up again, which I already wanted to do. So Sunday arrived and showed up with €300, telling me that I had done little this month and that I hadn't been respectful towards him and his business. I got very angry and also went to call my father who was waiting for me in the car. The two almost came to blows. So I took my father and we left saying it wasn't over there. I kept in touch with some of my colleagues, some even over 18, with whom I had established a good relationship and who also worked illegally. They told me that, the next day, he had badmouthed me saying that I was a person without any form of respect and dignity. In Italy we say una cosa inutile. They had witnessed the scene the previous Friday and were speechless. They thought I had to do something and not let me walk on my head like this. And they were right. So I decided to do something that no one has ever had the courage or the will to do, or rather go to finance to denounce the fact that he made most of his employees work illegally and that he exploited them by underpaying them. Obviously not alone, but with my colleagues, also tired of being exploited, to support me. So we decided on a day and time for a pop check and waited. The agreed day was Saturday morning from 9 to 10, the day and time when there was usually more workload. It goes without saying that, contrary to what is thought of in Italy, sometimes justice works, and that day finance with a surprise check discovered the whole situation and immediately closed the business. Subsequently, the owner as well as my former boss was investigated and sentenced to I don't remember how many years in prison. The business was seized and now his family is having to pay more than €1 million in tax evasion for other reasons related to false receipts and other things that I don't quite understand. I'm publishing this also here because a lot of people told me to publish this here. Non so perch continuo a togliere 18 plus ini lo rimet percaccia la Madonna. I would contend that his own bad behavior and illegal business practices ruined his life. You just shined a much needed light on it. The shitty boss fueled the bomb and OP lit the fuse. That's usually the way, and it's best like that. If you do something to actively put them in a bad situation, that's not so good as just exposing their own bad actions. Don't mess with people who have less to lose than you and know your illegal operations. This reminds me of a restaurant in my town. The owner got busted for illegally employing illegal immigrants. There were health violations too. So the business gets shut down for a while. The business reopens. Not a month later, the same thing. This cycle repeated like 4 times over 2 years. The owner even went to jail for 9 months after the third time, got out of jail and just straight up did it again. Reminds of Tank Noodle in Chicago. It felt like an instant karma kind of story, even though it was not. The owners went to the Capitol on January 6, reminder, 2021. And there was social media fallout for them. But a year before that, a federal entity started investigating them for illegal labor practices between 2018 and 2020. Severe underpayment was the main thing. The case concluded in March 2021, just 2 months after the social media fallout from their trip to the Capitol. They were ordered to pay $697,000 to 66, I assume former, employees. That didn't really seem to hurt them enough though. They are still operating, and still 4.x on Yelp and Google reviews. There really should have been punitive action. Try getting me fired. Enjoy homelessness. I was an adjunct professor at a college. One of the students didn't like me and tried to get me fired by making false accusations that I had pinched her and caressed her hair. I did not take this lightly. I could have been fired or faced criminal charges. This student was on a scholarship that required her to maintain a minimum attendance. Our college also requires a minimum attendance to pass a unit. An eye for an eye, right? I accidentally forgot to mark her name down when taking attendance, even if she was there. A few weeks later she was gone. I was confronted by her friend that she lost her scholarship and was now living out of her car because of my carelessness in taking attendance. Little did they know. My entire livelihood could have been ruined. How was I meant to know she wouldn't do it again? I cannot kick someone out from a he said she said situation. Some of the students were already treating me with hostility. Not sure why people are upset in the comments. This is called nuclear revenge. She can recover from losing a scholarship. She could have destroyed OP's entire life, reputation, and career. And I have little sympathy here. She was technically an adult and should know better herself. Actions have consequences and all that. Plus, I didn't cause her to be in a single cent of debt as she was already on a scholarship and government support. It was also her first semester. She can just enroll in another college and maybe try not to ruin someone's life this time. I had a student try to get me to change his grade by threatening me, sweet-talking me, and bribing me. He did this all via email. I just sent those on to my department chair, who got him kicked out of school. Apparently he was already on probation for something similar with another professor. Some kids are just too stupid for their own good. I mean, if she's threatening to ruin your life, it's all fair game, right? Everyone's an adult here. This isn't AITA. Also, if she did actually make false claims, taking OP at their word, she could have really messed up his life with job loss, and likely being unemployable in the field, and potential jail time. Honesty, he should have the school move the girl out of his class after the accusations. But I'm fine with this. Actions and consequence and all that. She's an adult, time to learn. FAFO. I had a teacher that everyone loved back in high school. He was my favorite teacher I ever had. He was accused of inappropriate actions by a girl's mother. It was proven false and nothing happened, but the damage was already done. He ended up having to move states. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.